A learn-it-yourself topic is virus threats to a computer by Ayush, Pranav and Vedant. Let us begin with the basic introduction of a virus. What is a virus? It is a piece of a program or a code that is capable of copying itself and typically has a detrimental effect. It may corrupt your file systems or slow down your machine, or may cause many other side effects. Types of computer viruses. There may be billions or zillions of computer viruses. However, some of the most basic types are Trojan horse, worms, and logic bombs. Let's talk about each one of them in detail. Trojan virus. It is one of the most common and heard about virus. Today's Trojans are flooded with Trojans. All the Trojans try and do is steal information or harm the host computer. The main purpose of a Trojan is to give the hacker access to the remote machine. The second type of virus is worms. These are malware programs that replicate itself in order to spread throughout the computer. These worms enter the remote machine via the network, through system failures or system crashes, and therefore there is no need of a physical access. Logic bombs. These are also considered to be potential threats to the computer. However, these cannot be classified under typical viruses as they are not well-defined programs and they don't replicate themselves. Just like other viruses, their main objective is to destroy the data on the computer. These go undetected until launched, and the results can be very destructive. What kind of damage can virus do? There might be a million viruses residing on your computer without posing any serious threat to it. However, some can prove to be very disastrous. They may delete or change your files, release confidential or important information like credit card numbers. They may slow down the system by deleting the cache and registry files, or they might plant monitoring software which allows the hacker to control your remote machine.
Symptoms of computer viruses. The first symptom listed here is window shooting alone. Now, window shooting alone is a situation when you are browsing the internet or you are just exploring through your own folders and suddenly new windows start popping up. Another symptom of computer viruses is performance degradation. Performance degradation simply means that your CPU isn't performing at the same rate as it used to. When suddenly pop-up error messages appear on your screen, you're most probably infected by a virus. Another very popular symptom nowadays is when your home page changes. When you open your browser, sometimes you'll see that your favorite home page has changed to a completely different site. This might be a sign of a virus. An example of a virus homepage. This looks very much like the Google search page. Sometimes your friends will start complaining that they're getting messages from your emails or from your social networking profiles. This is a sign of a virus having infected your computer. Sometimes you'll start getting emails from your friends, or sometimes you'll get posts from their profile, and these posts and emails will be completely random. They will have attachments which don't make any sense to you. They will have executable files which you hadn't asked for. This is a sign of a virus. One of the other symptoms of a virus is when your Control-Alt-Delete command doesn't work any longer. You can use Control-Alt-Delete to open your task manager. This is a very useful application. But newer viruses have started dealing with this by disabling that command. Just the way a virus affects your Control-Alt-Delete command, newer viruses have also started affecting the antivirus programs. So new viruses have scripts which stop these antivirus programs from getting updated. When an antivirus program can't get updated, it would not be able to get new virus definitions, and it's always safer to see that your antivirus is always protected, and at the same time make sure that you update it time and again. Last but not the least, a social network account getting hacked is a very common virus infection symptom. Detection of viruses. First, you must check the status of your antivirus. Most new viruses try to stop the functioning of an antivirus. Another method to check if viruses have infected your computer already is by using msconfig. Whenever a virus, worm, or any spyware infects your computer, then they start to run automatically the moment your Windows starts. When they run different applications inside your computer. Go to your start, type msconfig and open this program. Go to the startup tab and see the list of all the applications that are running. If you see any unexpected application in this list, then you should make sure that it's not a virus. Just like the previous method, another method is to use msinfo32. Once you've expanded all the locations, we'll find all the viruses in all of these locations. Just press find and it'll start searching. This takes a little time, but you can't go directly and delete these files because they might just be drivers. A very simple way to detect a virus is by remembering your history. Whenever you're browsing through your own computer and you suddenly see a new file, just all you have to do is see the date it was modified and try to remember whether or not you actually personally made any modification or you created any file yourself. The best method to detect a virus is definitely using Google for virus file extensions. Precautions against viruses. The first precaution is to install a legitimate antivirus software. The next precaution is to enable the on-access scan or the real-time scan. Always go for real-time protection where your computer always keeps on scanning whenever a new file tries to get executed. Another very important precaution is to scan your external storages and programs before you use them. Setting up a firewall is also a very basic precaution. To turn it on, go to Control Panel, System and Security, the Windows Firewall, turn on Windows Firewall, and here you have an option to turn it on, turn it off. No. We should make sure that we don't open any unexpected links or download any attachments which have strange file extensions. In case your PC does get affected by viruses, it's best you have a data backup. You have to set up a backup. Go to that message, click the setup backup, and it'll start a wizard which will start setting up a backup. Similarly, you can go to the system restore option where you can use a similar wizard to set up restore points so that you can go to those points whenever your system gets corrupted, speeding up virus detection. Normally antivirus scans take quite some time, and this would also slow down your computer and you won't be able to do any simultaneous activities along with a scan. To increase the speed of your virus scan, you'll have to decrease the amount of files it's scanning through. One way to do this is by removing the temporary files. Go to the browser settings and try to remove all the temporary files which will be stored. Another way is to define the type of files that you want to scan specifically and exclude any files or locations that you don't want your virus scan to scan through. Similarly, you can also exclude certain file extensions which you know are legitimate files. You could also define the depth of the scan. Choose whether you want a quick scan which will only look at the areas that are most likely to be affected by viruses, or go for a full in-depth scan which will go through your whole hard drive. Another slightly more time-taking method to speed up a virus scan would be to use disk cleanup or disk defragmentation. The moment you use disk cleanup, you're actually again removing the temporary files just the way you're done in your browser. The disk defragmentation process will actually defragment your disk so that it will be easier for your virus scanner to go through your files in an orderly fashion. The system tools, and you'll find a disk cleanup right there. Similarly, a disk defragmenter is also there in the system tool.
Now, let us talk about the cure for viruses. Viruses can be cured and detected using softwares known as antiviruses. An antivirus is a software used to prevent, detect, and even remove malware and viruses from the computers, such as Trojans, worms, VHOs, dialers, fraud tools, etc. Antiviruses are a must-have for all computers. Some famous antiviruses are McAfee, Norton, Bitdefender, Microsoft Security Essentials, AVG, Kaspersky, etc. Now, let us talk about the functioning of an antivirus. The first and foremost step is to detect whether a virus is present in a file or not. Antiviruses use various approaches to actually detect whether the virus is present in a file or not. The most commonly used approach is the dictionary-based approach. As the name suggests, dictionary-based approach uses a copy of all the virus definitions. So when a file is to be scanned for viruses, it actually refers it to all its virus definitions present in the copy and checks whether the file is infected or not. If the file contains a virus, then it prompts the user whether to quarantine, delete, or if possible, repair that file. This method is a very fast method for detection of viruses, but it has one drawback. The copy containing the virus definitions has to be continuously updated so as to be up to date, or else the new viruses would not be detected by the antivirus and go in and make changes and corrupt maybe the memory. The other commonly used approach is a suspicious behavior approach. This approach actually checks for the irregularities and suspicious things that go on in running of a process or a file. Thus, it can provide protection against new viruses with having to update it continuously. The only drawback of this approach is that it raises a lot of false alarms. So, what happens is, when going through the warnings, the user actually tends to miss the real threats and allows the viruses to come into the computer. These days, this approach and the dictionary approach are used in a combination so as to detect the viruses. Another commonly used approach is the sandbox approach. A sandbox is a security mechanism for isolation of running programs. It tests an untested piece of code or an untrusted program by tightly controlling the resources given to the program, and after the program has run, it examines any changes made having the nature of viruses. This method is a high performance method, thereby it is only used for on-demand scans. Now, let us see what an antivirus software looks like. This antivirus software is the McAfee Total Protection Antivirus. Basic antivirus software include features like scanning, spyware protection, firewalls, anti-spams, data backup, and setting up network defenses. When we scan a folder, this is what it looks like. So, the antivirus software shows me the number of files it has scanned, also the number of cookies, processes, registry items, or boot records it has found, and whether or not it has detected any viruses. Antivirus softwares can be updated anytime so as to get or protection from the latest viruses. These days, antiviruses need to be subscribed to be used.